Good morning everybody, it's Sean here from Lawn Treatment Service in South Yorkshire. How are you doing? And in today's video I'm going to be giving you 15 tips to keep your lawn healthy and nice going through winter. Right, some of that on, all good. Right guys, so we're in November and we're coming towards the last quarter of November and it's still quite mild, although next week's planned to turn really cold. So there's things you can be doing right now and there's things you want to be doing right over winter to keep your lawn in best condition and try and keep it as green and as healthy as possible, because what you want is your lawn to be nice and green in winter. Yeah, that's what we all want, a nice green lawn in winter. So the first thing, tip number one, I want to talk about the height of cut. Now every single grass plant is different in its requirements, but in general most domestic lawns will be happier at this time of year with around 2 inch of grass height. So if you mow, so there's about 2 inches, about just the size of one of your fingers, something like that, you don't want to be cutting it short. Now why are we saying this? Well, you think about it, each blade of grass is like a little solar panel, and them solar panels are there to attract the sunlight, and there's less sunlight available at this time of year. So if you keep it to a reasonable sort of level, then what's going to happen is any available sunlight that does come around, which is very little, the grass can use that sunlight and it can do its thing, do photosynthesis, create sugar, feed itself and become a stronger, healthier, happier plant as a result. The opposite is also something to think about. You don't want to be cutting too short. So if you cut short, what happens is the blades of grass are really short and those blades of grass cannot absorb as much sunlight, so they can't do its photosynthesis, so the grass becomes stressed and the grass becomes weaker. And what happens with weak grass? It struggles and it starts to attract weeds, disease, moss, all sorts of things like that. Bearing in mind that moss loves damp, shady conditions. So if your moss, weeds and grass all compete for the same space. So if you are making your grass too short, then the moss is going to start to creep in because the grass is weak. So on the other end, if you keep your grass high, too high, if you let it go too high, what will happen is the tips of the blades of grass will see the sun, but the blades of grass further down the blade themselves will struggle because it's not seeing as much sunlight. So you've got to keep to a reasonable sort of height without it sort of folding over. So, tip number two, keeping debris off of your lawn. So this is common sense, but with there being less light, the grass is fighting for every single bit of sunlight that comes through. So if you have a leaf or a twig or anything on top of the lawn, a child's football toy, then that grass underneath can't see the sun and the grass is going to struggle big time. And then when you do move the debris, it's gone brown underneath and it takes so much longer for it to recover. And so when you've got weak grass, that obviously encourages moss and everything else to creep in. So the key is a nice dry day, either get your blower or get your rake and go and clear up the debris off the lawns. Tip number three, if you've got more than one mower, you're lucky. So if you've got more than one mower, choose the lightest mower you've got. Again, common sense. You don't want a great big heavy mower on your lawn. You get a great big heavy mower on your lawn, it's pressing down, it's compacting the ground, and you're stressing the grass out because you're pressing down really hard and it can't bounce up as quickly because there ain't as much sunlight. So get a nice light mower, guys, and it'll make life a lot easier. Tip number four, turn your mower carefully when you come to the edges. I learned this last year. Well, it was common sense, but I was desperate to get my big heavy roller mower on the lawn. I was fed up, rubbish days, and I wanted to just get some nice stripes in, so I thought, who cares? So that's what I did. I actually got the roller mower out, went up and down, and I was turning the mower around right on the edge of the lawn, and because of that, it ended up pretty much killing all that grass off at that point. And it stayed like that all through winter. It came back in spring, once we got through spring a few weeks, but it really does make a messier lawn. So the next tip, sharp blades. These are all common sense basic stuff, but your blade on your mower needs to be nice and sharp. If it's a blunt blade, if you hit any sort of stones, what will happen is when you cut the grass, instead of just doing a clean cut through the grass, it tends to bend the blade of grass over and tears it. So it's bending it over and tearing it rather than a nice clean cut. So you end up with little silvery white tips on the edge of your grass, on the blade tip of the grass, and that's not good. So it's unhealthy for the grass. So the next tip, keep your mower and your box clean. Yes, you've got to keep them clean, guys. Stupid, I know. Common sense, yes. Just think about it. If your box is mucky inside and all the vents down the side of the box are blocked with wet old grass, then the airflow cannot suck enough grass into the box. And what happens is, as you're mowing, the wet grass, if you're mowing on a wet day, which you shouldn't be, any sort of grass will not effectively get into the back of the box, and it will sit right at the front of the box, just on that little lip that just sits within your mower, and most of that will fall off as you're mowing and you're constantly picking up little clumps of grass. Obviously you've got no choice, but each time you drop blades of grass, each time you drop grass onto your lawn, you're going to start building thatch layers up, which is unnecessary. So same with your mower, just keep it nice and clean underneath. You can get anything really just to clean it, an old screwdriver, an old brush. You can even get a hose pipe and just give it a good clean underneath. And same with your box, give it a clean out after every mow. So the next tip I've got for you guys, avoid fuel spillages. Please do not fill up your mower on the grass. Common sense. Yeah, these are all common sense things, but these are things which people just overlook. Most people do not fill their mower up on the lawns, although we've all done it. I've done it a few times, thinking, well, I've got steady hands and I'm Mr. Cool, I can fill my mower up anywhere I want and be really good at it. But as you know, any petrol will just burn your lawn straight away, so avoid it any time of the year, that one. So the next tip I've got for you guys, iron. Get some iron on your lawns. Now you can actually apply iron all year round. It just helps out with the cells of the grass, and it helps provide a bit of, excuse me, a bit of a greening up. I've got a bit of a cold today, guys, so if you get some iron on, what you don't want to be doing is putting it down in frost or in snow. It's common sense, and you wouldn't really want to be going on your lawn too much in snow, because when you walk on it, it compacts the snow down, and that's perfect breeding ground for fungus like snow mold. Definitely avoid it in frost, as you're just going to pretty much stress out the grass big time. If you are not quite into winter and you're at the back end of autumn, try and get some potassium on your lawns. A fertilizer which is higher in potassium than nitrogen is what you want to be getting into your lawns as you're heading into winter. Even in November now, the grass is still growing, although slower. We're still hitting 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, sometimes 12 degrees at the moment, which is very unusual. Get some potassium in there, guys. It's all good for the roots, and it all helps the grass become a stronger plant over winter. Any organic fertilizer which has got extra potassium, lower in nitrogen, because nitrogen promotes growth, vertical growth. So potassium is great for the roots. Seaweed. Next tip. Get some seaweed on your lawns, guys. Seaweed is a great natural product. It does a whole host of things, but in short, it's just great for what goes on beneath the surface. It's a good natural organic sort of fertilizer, soil conditioner, amongst many other things. So that's that tip for you. You can apply seaweed twice a month, once a month, all year round, and it helps to create more organic matter it helps to make the ground become more organic, and it increases the microbial action within the ground. This will obviously lead to more earthworms, but you're actually making it a better environment within your soil, which is better for the health and the plant of the grass. So the next tip I have for you guys is carbon. Carbon? What are we talking about carbon for? Right. Carbon is a great source of nutrients. I'm just at a roundabout here. So carbon so if you can get a good carbon source on your lawn, you're actually going to be helped turn it into better soil over time. It's not a very quick instant thing, but you can get a little bit of carbon down over winter and also through the summer. What you're actually doing, especially with clay soils, gradually, it takes time, but it will turn it into a better quality soil, so it's not just clay. It's a bit of a great little tip, that one for you. So carbon, guys. The other tip I have got for you is hollow tine aeration. Yes, you can aerate your lawns most of the times of the year, obviously not in frost or snow, and not when it's extremely wet. So you want it to be fairly dry. Hire a hollow tine aerator or get a manual hollow tine aerator. You are relieving compaction in the ground, but more importantly, you're helping with drainage. Now this time of the year everything is really wet, and when it's wet and damp, especially on clay lawns, water just pools on top, and that encourages moss. It can also effectively drown the grass, and it's not good. If you've got sitting water all the time, it can kill grass off. So that is that tip for you. So my next tip for you guys is to let the grass rest. It's spent all summer and spring and autumn with you guys walking on it, kids playing on it, animals playing on it. Just try and keep off as much as you can. Give it a chance. When you do need to go on your lawn, just make sure it's a nice dry day and there's no snow and there's no frost. So your best time really is probably just after lunch, early afternoon. Okay. So my next tip for you guys, worms, worm casts. At the end of the day, worms are good for the soil. They help to aerate the soil. They take organic matter down, like leaves and things like that. They take them down, they digest the organic material and spit out the horrible waste and leave it as a cast on the top. Some worms, some varieties of worms do that. Not all worms. Some worms stay underground and some worms are surface casting worms. Common sense again, if you walk on those casts, you're going to squash this lump of soggy, sticky soil down, and it's just going to kill any blades of grass which are underneath. So what you need to do is try and get them off, only on a dry day. You can brush them off, or as the garden lawn care guy says, you can get yourself a little afro comb and just push it in the grass and lift the casts off. Highly recommend you go out and look at his channel, guys. He's got some great tips on there. So my last tip for you, tip number 15, guys. If your lawn is discoloured in the blades of grass, just get a fungicide on. You can still apply fungicides at this time of year. You can apply fungicides right into winter. I am still treating lawns with red thread, and it's just basically because it's been a very wet year. So if you carry out as many of these tips as you can, you're just going to help improve things, and that's the idea. You want to make your lawn that a little bit better, don't you? If you're not happy with what you've got now, just take a few of these steps and you will make it that little bit better. One of the main things people don't do is keep the grass to a nice height and mow regular throughout the year, I'm talking. All these extra things like fungicides and things as and when required, but that's part and parcel of getting yourself a nice lawn. Some people think, I'm just going to cut my grass short and that's it, I don't have to do it for another month. Wrong answer. You're making your grass weak. Some people just mow the lawn and don't do anything else. That's okay, to a degree. You won't cure every weed with that, but you will have a nicer, thicker lawn as a result of that. So if you mow regular and not too short, you will end up with a nice green lawn, but you will have weeds and you can still get fungus. However, depending on how high you cut your grass, if you are prepared, and I don't know anyone in the UK that will do this, please prove me wrong. If you are prepared to cut your grass to between sort of 3, 4, 5, 6 inches long, how many people do that here? Certain blades of grass can tolerate high cutting, especially in America. Hang on. Do you know what? But many seed varieties in the UK will tend to will start falling over when you let it go long. So you can't physically do that. But in America and at universities, I've got a university study pinned to my wall in my office, where they were able to prove that if you let your grass grow up to about 6 inch, remember you can't do this in the UK with most blades, most types of grass, and that lawn developed, number one, deeper roots. It's like any household plant, isn't it? If you get a big plant, you get big roots. If you get a small plant, like a little winter pansy, the roots are a centimetre, 2 centimetres big. It's common sense. So the bigger the plant, the bigger the roots in general, with most things. And the bigger the root, the stronger the plant. So that plant can then fight off disease. It can then crowd out weeds. It can also tolerate grubs. So much easier. And this was proven by a university in America, which I've got pinned to the wall in my office. So there you go, guys. Hope you've enjoyed these 15 tips and this little Van Talk episode 3. Hope you're all doing well. Let me know how you're getting on with your lawns. Any questions you want answering on the next Van Talk, please do pop them in the comments below. If you like this video, please smash that like button, guys. It helps with the Google algorithm. Apparently we've got to say that now, and it helps. Listen, please smash that like button if you like this video. I would also really appreciate it if you were to become a subscriber of this channel, and I will continue to post comments, tips, advice and videos that show you how to get a better lawn as you move through the next sort of 12 months. As we're going into winter now, there are less things to be done, but I'm still out there day in, day out, right through winter, doing things on people's lawns. So follow me, keep along, and I hope to see you. Subscribe, hit the notification bell icon. We'll see you again. Bye.